Altvater, and welcome to this episode of Creating Healthy Families TV. Today I'm going to talk to you about 3 ways that you can shift your thinking immediately that might make an impact on the choices that you make. The first is to think it's all good, which means that we have to give up all or nothing thinking. Many of us, especially those of us that are perfectionists, tend to think in all or nothing. Oh, I had one cookie, I might as well eat the whole bag because I've blown it now, right? Can you relate to that? I know I can from the past. So it's all good thinking means that if you have one cookie, you don't beat yourself up emotionally over it. Instead, you look at why you had that cookie, and maybe you can learn something from that circumstance, and you probably wanted it at that moment, so it's okay. So it's either a choice that moves you forward, or it's a choice that gives you an opportunity to learn from so that you can maybe make a different choice in the future. So it's all good. Don't beat yourself up emotionally over choice. The second way to shift your thinking is to think about food as staples and discretionary instead of good and bad. We tend to classify our food as good or bad. I'll have clients say to me, oh, it was so good all day long, and then I got home and I ate this, that, and that. I was so bad. And when we eat what we classify as bad, then we make ourselves bad for it. And the whole point of what I'm trying to convey to people is that you should not cause yourself to have bad feelings about yourself. So if you go away from classifying food as good and bad, classifying yourself as good and bad, and instead look at food as staples and discretionary. So staples should be those healthy foods that we would eat 90% of the time, and discretionary would be foods that you might think are off limits, but not really if you eat them in moderation. So those would be your discretionary foods, because I believe that if you ever inhibit yourself from any type of food and try to avoid it all the way and don't have a really good reason for doing it, that you will not be able to stick with that. So discretionary foods give you an opportunity to have a little bit of that. So 10% of your daily calorie intake could be discretionary foods. And most of us who are not concentrating on what we're eating eat 90% discretionary and 10% staples. So we want to definitely shift that. But that means that you can have a piece of chocolate, dark chocolate, every evening if that's what you want to have. I really enjoy having my clients look at the Healing Foods Pyramid, and I'm going to put a link for that on my website, createahealthyfamily.com, so that you can go and download that, and that will give you an idea of what staples and what discretionary foods would be. And the third way that you can shift your thinking immediately is to detach from the outcome. I know I talked about that earlier in one of our episodes, but detaching from the outcome is so important when you are embarking on a program that is supporting taking baby steps moving you forward. So a good way to detach from the outcome is to forget about the scales. I know many of us are really attached to our scales, and so we do what we think is good, and then we get on the scales and we don't see the result that we expect for the effort that we made. And that could be for a whole lot of reasons, nothing to do with what we just consumed for the last week. Then we get demotivated, don't we? And so then that causes us difficulty to go ahead and make choices again. So my recommendation is to put your scales away, and you can tell how you're doing. You can tell by the way your clothes feel. So don't think about any results happening within a certain time period, but instead know that if you take steps every day and stay conscious about what you're doing, that you will move yourself to the goal that you want. So that's it for today. Have a great week, and I'll catch you next time.